Serious, when did you realize your friends were not your friend? When someone else started treating me like an actual person and I realized that my friend was the reason I hated myself. When they blatantly didn't invite me out with them for a couple of beers. After I brought up the discussion. They won't even talk to me unless I initiate it. FCK them. When I realized that our entire text history is him asking me for a ride somewhere about once every 1-2 weeks. When I would go out of my way to see them. But they would never return the favor. I'd ask if they wanted to come over. Oh, I'm busy, yet would happily allow me to drive an hour there to see them. I decided to instead wait for them to invite me, still waiting 2 years later. When they decided that since I made more money than they did that meant that I should be responsible for paying their rent. When I stopped meeting them regularly, e.g. school, high school, university, and they stopped calling me. Edit. You just assume I didn't call them. I did. In many cases I did until I noticed that they did many other things without telling me. I invited them to hang out and stuff, but when it was their turn they didn't call me. Only time they hit you up is when they need something. When I quit drinking and partying. Then some friends just never called me. Edit. If you need alcohol in order to enjoy someone's company and have fun, you probably don't need to be hanging out with them anyway. When, after I threw a house party for my birthday, they took all of the alcohol and money I had hidden away. Alcohol that wasn't meant to be consumed. Such as aged wines and whiskers. The money was about $250 I had saved over time that was going towards an anniversary gift for my at the time. So, right now, 2 of them have been caught stealing and I have found better friends. Dude here. When my gay best friend kicked me out of his house because I would bring women home. I always paid my rent and bills on time. We got the house together. And I would hear him bang his BF and other dudes as well. But he told me that I made the house uncomfortable when he had company over because of my evening's company that I would keep in my room. Sounds to me like your gay best friend had a thing for you and was jealous. From a previous one of these threads. When I realized that the only thing we had in common anymore was the past. When she began bringing up and highlighted my worst qualities in front of mutual friends. My slight stutter. My dark sense of humor. And when said mutual friends and I looked at her with disbelief. Would laugh and say I was just joking. Bitch. You knew I had that speech impediment for over a decade and you knew how hard it was for me to get that under control. A saying I learned as a young boy was don't blow out my candle to make yours glow brighter. I wish your friend had heard this. When I realized he was a bully. And that we got along better over text than in person. I found my friend going through my phone looking for the nudes my so had sent me. When I quit buying smoking weed. When she pretended to commit suicide. And then when her parents found out. She blamed it on me. And said that it was because I had been sleeping with her ex-boyfriend. The only reason her ex and I had been talking was because we were worried about her. I also found out that she had lied about drug use. She told me she had done drugs when really she hadn't. The mentality behind that is f***ed up. When she slept with a guy my best friend had a crush on. While my best friend was in the adjacent room. Then she accused the guy of RP to avoid any blame or fault on her part. Claimed to have been RP'd before. And then told me that I slept with him because I was too drunk to drive home and wanted to sleep in a bed. Lied to all of our friends and then when we called her out on it. Lied some more. She needs help. I realized I wasn't important to her. She wasn't reliable at all. She was my only friend and consistently made last-minute plans for lunchtime, high school. Leaving me wandering the halls and even eating in the bathroom once or twice. At the beginning of this school year. She didn't even talk to me. We had been friends for 10 years. During elementary school. She refused to let anybody else join our group of 5 friends. I thought I'd be sad about it. But I had since made friends around whom I could be my 100% real self. I love my friends and couldn't be happier now. It has happened a few times, but the biggest one was when he was mad at me. It made me wonder if I had been a jerk. And I looked back and realized he had actually been an appallingly bad friend and I had been overlooking it. I joined the military after high school and no one I used to hang out with ever tries to contact me. Even when I go back home, it's hard to get them to do anything. I understand that people have to work or go to school, but a lot of people have told me they want to see me and then blow me off. The people I've met in the military seem to be a lot more genuine than my friends back home. It really begins with who initiates the conversations. I knew a girl in high school who would talk to me when I approached her, sat with her group at lunch, or just hung around her. But she never seemed to actively seek me out, seem interested in the conversation, or text call invite me at all. I realized that she was a nice person, but not so interested in being a friend. Is this really perceived that badly? I struggle with some anxiety and have trouble initiating conversations. I'll gladly talk to someone, but I'm just TTY about initiating creating plans. Can I tell you a secret? I've never really had a friend. I've had business associates who used the term friend but would never help me out if I needed it in any way. In school, none of the people I knew could be considered friends. We never hung out. We never went anywhere. And none of them would ever stand up for me in any situation. I've never had a friend. When I realize that they only remember I exist when they need something from me, otherwise they go about their live, make plans, talk to one another but never remember me at all. The last straw was that my best friend who lives in Nick was coming to visit. So all our other common friends made plans to go to a hotel to spend the weekend. And none, and I mean none of them, told me about it, and the worst part, they were going on the weekend of my birthday. So like my father used to say, los voy a borrar con mierda de gato, which loosely translate to I will erase them with catch tea. When they are mad at you for your reaction to their bullshit, friends are supposed to call each other out. It's called love. Dumbus. It's happened more than once. More recently, though, I have made the decision to stop pursuing a few different friendships. I go out of my way to help them, listen to their issues, etc. But 2013 was such a bad year for me and none of them returned the favor. I actively tried reaching out for help and was ignored. It's caused me a lot of pain and I just don't have the energy to deal with that anymore. When they kept making promises to do things with me, and then never did. It's alright though. I've made new friends. When she told me she didn't want me to be her maid of honor at her wedding because I was too depressed. I had just went through a huge breakup and her wedding wasn't for another 2 years. For me, it was when I realized they were holding me back. After a heart-to-heart with my mom when I was 20. She told me I would eventually become what I associate with. I took a long hard look around my friend circle and saw what my mother saw. Users, bullies, and drug addicts. Dead weight gets cut. I lived with 3 of my best friends a couple years ago. Almost every night they would cook huge dinners, get drunk, bring guys back, and then crash. They would then expect me to clean the entire place without their help. Their dishes, rooms, bathrooms, etc. They would get mad when I didn't or when I'd ask for their help. I was their maid, not their friend. When I was constantly being screwed over and used. I have a job and a car. So apparently I'm supposed to drive them all over f***ing everywhere. The breaking point was when I waited around for 20 minutes standing there like a fool because I said I would drive them home. At 20 minutes I decided to leave. And then there they were, with their f***ing stupid asses and bags on my hood. I asked them why the hell they weren't where they said we would meet and they literally, honest to God, said we thought you left. Hey. We thought you left so we went and rubbed our fat f***ing asses all over your clean car and scratched the paint. Sorry. When I realized that we're absent when I needed them the most, when I grew up and they didn't. It wasn't until after the school year. Even though they'd daily throw food at me. Typically healthy foods while shouting lose some weight fatty. Hit me. Sing songs about me etc. They made me so insecure that even when it was about 100 degrees outside, I refused to take my jacket off. I even took their advice about losing some weight. Got myself an eating disorder. I'd cry every night. But I just thought that this is who I was. The person that made everyone feel better about themselves. Finally came to the realization that these people were just dicks. They'd text me just to harass me. Middle school-ish tea. When he saw I was really drunk and found it as an opportunity to try and FCK me. When they told me they needed to talk without me for a moment before we went to lunch. I took my time putting my stuff away while they went to have their chat. Waited for quite a while for them to be done. When I went to check if they were ready to go, I found they had already left. In hindsight, they had been trying to ditch me for a while before that. I just didn't have any other friends at the time. And they had always made me feel a little alienated. So I didn't really notice when I doubled their efforts. When I feel like I'm hassling them by texting or talking to them. Alright, I won't talk to you. Sorry. I had been really good friends with this guy for over 10 years. Or so I thought. We had been roommates for almost 2 years at this point right before I was flying back into town. He confirmed he picked me up from the airport, which was 15 minutes away. As soon as I land, I turn on my phone and receive a text. At BBQ call cab. He decided to get drunk and try to talk to this girl who was not into him at all. This was 4 in the afternoon. That's when I realized how selfish he was and how he only valued our friendship when it did not inconvenience him. I learned the depth of a friendship is not determined by how long you've known them or been friends. Once they started making fun of family, jabs at me are okay. Anyone else is 5 steps over the line. When they didn't try to visit me when I was locked up. When they all hung out on the monkey bars and said there wasn't enough room for one more. Kindergarten was rough. Guys, I'm glad you're in first grade now and you've been able to move on.